Good morning, fellow Restopians. Welcome back to Restopia. I had a little bit of a eureka moment this morning. And I did a bit of research and I thought I'd do a bit of a video. So, Grand Seiko is a bugbear of mine that they do not have micro adjust. It's 2023 Grand Seiko. What are you doing? You know, they get compared to Rolex, but the bracelets are chalk and cheese. There's just no comparison in the bracelets. And for me, a watch is generally to be worn on a bracelet. So that is a massive part of the enjoyment. So I think that Grand Seikos just are unpurchasable in the current state for me, because I just couldn't spending that much money on a watch that doesn't fit you. Anyway, is what it is. But I had a eureka moment this morning, as I've said, that they actually do have micro adjust. Now, it's not quite the type of micro adjust we're used to. So this Grand Seiko here is just too big for my wrist. If I took, there's 1.5 links out. If I took 2 links out, it would be too tight. I'm pretty sure I did take 2 links out. But yeah, it would be too tight. So it's a problem. Now, what I've worked out, I've always known that where have they gone? I don't really need them, but I've always known that we call that Grand Seikos have half links. Well, they're called half links, but actually they're not half a link. They're a little bit bigger than half a link, because half a link would be 2. They couldn't, you know, that's about as small as it can be made. And on some watches, the half links are even more than half a link than the Grand Seiko ones are, if that makes sense. And I've known this for ages, but this morning, for some reason, I just had a thought that if there's a difference between, if it's not a full half links, that means that 2 half links are not the same size as 1 full link. Then that means that you can manipulate the links to a point where the watch would fit. Now, I did some sums this morning. Now, either I've got my sums incorrect. I've measured the full link at 9.8 mil and the half link at 6.3. I've done that literally just the normally I measure the distance between the left hand side of a screw, if that makes sense. So the left hand side of that screw to the left hand side of that screw is how much that link will remove if you take it out, and the left hand side or the center, whichever point in the screw that you want to measure to. But I find it easier to do the edge. So the left hand point of that screw to the left hand point of that screw is how much that link takes out. But just for ease, I'm not sure if that is or is not the same. I've literally measured with a vernier the actual, actually I will make the effort to get the actual box with the links in. If not, I'm going to have to do this whole video again, because, oh, there it is. So here are the actual links that I've taken out of this one. So I have measured with the vernier, basically zero it, that distance, which is 9.8, and on the half or so-called half link, I can't think of a better, the small link is 6.3. And I've done some quick math, man's not hot, and basically, with 1.5 links taken out, that is 16.1 millimeters shorter. 16.1 millimeters shorter in circumference. If I took 2 full link, which is not quite enough for me, if I took 2 full links out, it would be 19.6 millimeters, which would be too tight. So I've worked out, if you take out 3 full links and then add 2 of the smaller links, that will be 16.8 millimeters, which is a little bit smaller, 0.7 of a mil, which isn't going to make too much difference. Then you've got 4 of these small links in there. That wouldn't really make too much difference, I don't think. But, you know, every little helps. If you took 5 full links out, I think there are, yeah, that is all. If you took all of the full links out, basically, and put 4, took all 5 full links out, and put 5 half links back in, that would be 17.5 millimeters smaller, which is 1.4 millimeters smaller than it is now. Now, a micro adjust, as we have here on this Tudor, a micro adjust is normally 2.5 millimeters between 2.5 millimeters between makes it a difference of 2.5. So all of that work for 1.4 millimeters of difference. I think it would make this watch fit me. Well, it would definitely be better because it would be smaller and it's a little bit too big. It might be perfect at that point, but that's a lot. That's a lot of these screws are a pain. They're tiny. It's a bit of a painful bracelet to adjust. And that would mean that there would be no full links in here. There'd be 7 half links, which would look awful, I think. It would feel like a bit of a bodge, but currently it's the only way to get this to fit into what I would, you know, obviously if it fits, you know, sometimes these type of bracelets with no micro adjust fit people. This one just doesn't fit me. So Grand Seikos tend not to fit me. The other one that doesn't fit me, I have a Tudor GMT here with the infamous fake rivet bracelet, and this doesn't fit me either. Now, the reason this doesn't fit me is that because of I won't go into too much detail, but because of the fake rivets, not only do they look horrible and annoying, but because of that design, it means there kind of can't be a 4th micro adjust on the bracelet, because if the fake rivet wasn't there, I mean, it can be designed out, I guess. I guess you could squeeze 4 in there, but it can't go any more. As you can see on the inside, there's room for that to go up further. There's space there for that to go up a bit further, but there isn't a micro adjust. There isn't another hole drilled in there, because then it wouldn't close, because that fake rivet would stop. If I can get it to do it, see, it would hit the inside of the clasp, and it wouldn't. So that's as far as that can go in because of that fake rivet. They could have left the fake rivet off of the last. Well, I suppose they couldn't really do that, could they? Because if you're adjusting the bracelet, you're not going to know. I guess they could give you a link. They could give you one link that had that didn't have a fake rivet on. Put the extra position in there, and that would do it. Or they could have just spaced out the micro adjust holes. I mean, there's all sorts of things they could have done. They could have made the clasp bigger. I mean, but the problem with the bracelet as it is that although the micro adjust on this is 2.5 mil, I'm missing a lot of people that this bracelet doesn't fit. They're missing that 2.5 mil option because it's just not there. It needs one more micro adjust to make up for these links. I think I've got that right. But yeah, on this watch, this is in its as tight as it will go. But yeah, there isn't an option on this for me, which is at least with the Grand Seiko. If I really didn't mind taking out all of the full links and replacing them with the half links with 7, so we would have 7 in total. Then of course I'd have to buy 5 half links. How much is that going to cost? I wouldn't do it. But it kind of is possible. But you know, let's hope Grand Seiko make a new bracelet for their watches, because a lot of people more and more people are loving the watches now. So it just seems a travesty that they just don't fit people. You know, at the price point that some of them are. You know, I saw a new one today. It was £10,000, but it'll have a bracelet similar to this that probably wouldn't fit me and lots of people. It just doesn't have enough adjustment. And just, you know, watches today, they not only should have micro adjust, but they'll have a toolless adjustment as well. But Grand Seikos don't even have adjustment with a tool. It's not on really. Yeah, the other thing, as I'm having a bash at Grand Seiko, I do love the brand, but as I'm having a bash at Grand Seiko, now this piece is I'm not sure. Well, I could measure it, couldn't I? Let's get the calipers back. This piece has 21mm lug width, and the case is 42. It's about 42, but I think that design-wise, I think that it's obviously personal preference. I think that the case could do with 22mm lug widths on this particular piece. The new one I looked at that I mentioned, the SGLH019, I think it was, it's a 40mm case, but it's got 22mm lug width. So when you look at that, I think that's the other way round. I think that in my opinion, the lug width is too much for the case. I think 21mm, this fits a 40mm case size. I think 42 as this is needs 22. But that's I just think when you look on the website, it just doesn't look right. There's a lot of I looked on the Rolex website at to 36mm recently, and that has 20mm. That has 20mm lug width, which I think is too big for a 36mm case. But yeah, it's all personal preference. But yeah, I think that's another failing with Grand Seiko. I think their case sizes, their lug lengths, and their lug widths are a bit messed up. They don't. They often look a bit odd. But you know, one man's odd is another man's beauty, I suppose. There's probably a better saying for that, but that's the only one I could come up with. But yeah, so that was my. Sorry if it was a bit of a tease. The video title. Just a couple of other things while I did a video yesterday about some tools that I had around. I didn't have the loop on that. I've also got a loop, which is quite handy. I think I do need, what I need is a desk mounted magnifying screen mirror thing so that it can just be between me and the watch. And then I've got both hands free and I'm looking normally. I'm not trying to hold that in one eye. I did mention these tweezers, tweezer spring bar tool remover that I had, and I said that springs shot off. I mentioned it in the video, but I was trying to use them on. These are specifically made for Tudor. The reason being, let's move that so I don't scratch it. The reason being is that Tudors have a very narrow slot where the spring bar is, so you kind of need a tool to get in there. And these work really, really well with Tudors. And they do actually hold the spring really well. It doesn't shoot off when it's a Tudor spring bar. So yeah, they're really good. I can get different ends for that, I'm assuming, that will fit normal watches that don't have a groove. You know, there's loads of space there on that Grand Seiko. But these wouldn't really work on that. I guess I've never tried using these on a Grand Seiko, but I've never taken a Grand Seiko bracelet off. And I also mentioned the polyamide tape. I hadn't tried that at that point. It's really good for taking the screw out. If you put the tape over the screw and then push the screwdriver in, it protects it makes a nice hole in the tape. Completely stays on the side of the link, and so if you did slip, it would scratch less, if at all. The other thing it's not very helpful for putting the screw back in though. I couldn't work out really how you would use this to put the screw back in, so that's a pain. And the other thing, one last thing in the video, I did mention that my screwdrivers have, the tip is just too narrow. It needs to be broader, and that is a problem. And the other problem with that, not only does it not fit the screw properly, the polyamide tape doesn't help. then if you do slip, that's like a Stanley knife, and that is going to be more likely to scratch something than if it were broader. It's almost, you know, it's almost a knife edge screwdriver. So I really do need to see if I can get some more. The whips are great, but the thickness of it needs to be thicker so that it fits the screw. And if it doesn't fit the screw, you're more likely to slip in the first place. So as well as bugger up the screw head. So I'm not touching any more nice watches with these until I can look into getting some new screws. So I hope that was helpful, screw heads. Hope that was helpful. Sorry if it was a bit of a tease. Yeah, any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Have a good day. One wrist, live it.